Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Today we're blasting off. We're going into space. Yes, indeed. Before we do that, though, if you want to do me a big, huge favor, hit like, hit share, and show that you care. No, you don't have to, but it'll get people over here, folks. I'll be with you in just a moment. Big show announcement on the way. And now going live to KBS HQ. Yes, indeed. There we go. That's something different, right? Something different. How are you all doing? We're going to take it easy. We're going to take it nice and slow. We're going to kick back. We're going to chillax. We're going to get into some really cool space news. Yes, indeed. And I've got a major show announcement to make as well. And it's one that I think you're all going to be very, very happy with. Yes, I'm very, very happy. If I'm happy, I hope you're happy. So who have we got loitering into the chat room today? We have Bet, good to see you. Bernays, Rorschach, Jose Ramon, ZX, good to see you. Ring the bell. Yes, ring the bell. The bells. Well, we call you Quasi. I'm going to call you Quasi for the remainder of today's stream, ZX. Yes, indeed. We've got Paul kicking about in there. Paul was looking for a regular schedule of KBS. Regular schedule and KBS don't go together. They don't. But good to see you, brother. We've got Sam. Good to see you, my friend. And we also have Thor. We've got Regla, Karen. Nothing as it seems. Isn't that true? Isn't it true? St. Marionette. We had Jose Ramon was second. And we had Jules. Our very own pirate girl was first today. Yes, indeed. So somebody was talking about the weather in their area. 27 degrees Celsius and 145k north of the sarcophagi. Is it going to work? Oh no. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo. We got there in the end, right? The point where your brain turns to black goo. It's almost as if that's the future. I can tell that was the future coming through there, folks. You know, by the end of the stream, we will hear that. Okay, so somebody, right, I need to make the chat room smaller because you're all destroying my new rotating triangle. If it didn't irritate people before, it'll probably irritate people now, right? So listen, show announcement. Let's get it out of the way off the bat. We have been doing some great work over on KBS lately. And I know it sounds very egotistic to say that. But me and Dave, we don't mind. We'll take a bit of credit. But no, all credit goes to the guests. Our regular guests have been raising the bar. We've got new guests that have come along that have totally blown our minds. And it's those new guests that I really want to focus in on today. Because over on the other Kev Baker Show channel, Kev Baker Show 1, if you want to call it that, the one with the overinflated subscriber count of nearly 90,000, okay? We had a show a few weeks ago that I'm still getting emails about. And I'm still having really deep, interesting thoughts about some of the information that was brought forth during this show right here. And it was, of course, with our good friends from Down Under, Stephen and Evan Strong. So, true synchronistic kind of way that things happen on the Kev Baker Show. We were playing one of their latest videos last night when we were on air, myself and Jimmy Jeans. And of course, I should have known. I was talking about getting the guys back on, and while we were on air, myself and Evan reconnected via Messenger on Facebook, and I'm really, really happy to tell everyone out there that a week tomorrow, that is Thursday, if you're in the UK, the US, or anywhere other than Australia, when it's going to be at 9 a.m. Australian time Friday morning. That's next week, folks. Thursday night, the Kev Baker Show. We're going back down under with Evan and Stephen Strong. We're going to be getting into the rings of Atlantis. We're going to be getting into some of the earthworks that are down there. And we're going to be looking forward to the conference that they'll be putting on at the weekend, just following their appearance on the Kev Baker Show. Yes, indeed. So yes, exciting times ahead. Other guests lining up in the background as well. New guests, new names. And hopefully names that you haven't heard too much of. You know, it's all very good and well getting big guests that go on all the shows, but there's something special about when you find somebody that not many people have heard of. So I am going to be striving to bring more of those types onto the show as well. And with Australia and going back down under in mind, we're also going to be doing something kind of unique on the channel. And I'm really, really looking forward to this. I'm really excited about it as well. Because one thing that really I wasn't too aware of before I started working with people like Luna and Donnie and Jess and Dan, and we had Bruce Fenton at the start as well. But I wasn't really aware of the separation between men's business and women's business. I had no idea it was like two almost separate alien worlds, okay? And there's things that women talk about and things that women do, and there's things that men do and men talk about. So that's why I think it's kind of unique. I've never heard a show, certainly none of the ones that I listen to, that are going to really respect that. And I'm going to be bringing John, Wayne, Donnie, Nacy back on for a men's business show. But then I'm also going to be stepping aside and I'm going to be playing producer. And Luna is putting together a women's business show. And she's been speaking to some of her sisters and some of her aunties. She was saying to me, Kev, some of these aunties have got white hair, and that tells me that they might be a bit longer in the tooth, which means some of the wisdom, some of the knowledge that's going to come to the table that night, it's going to blow both male and female minds, okay? So that's something that we're going to be doing in the very near future. I just had a ghost materialising behind me there. It's not really a ghost, it's Anne. Oh, it's the ghostly arm. So we're going to be doing that as well. I hope this is a path that you're enjoying us going down. I'm certainly enjoying it. And I think there's great worth, great value to be had from the information that we're excavating right now, if you pardon the obvious pun. Yes, indeed. So, that said, that's all to look forward to. And of course, tonight, in less than an hour, we're going to have Jimmy Jeans back on for his weekly visit. And because Jimmy, Don, and I get on so well as a trio, Don Wiskin's going to be joining us for hour number 1 today. We're going to be getting into Extendivite, so please join us for that. Hour number 2, Jimmy is going to be blowing the cobwebs off his Colburn Bible. Yes, indeed. But on this stream today, now that we're going to finally get going, we're up to over 30. That does me. That'll do fine. We're going to talk about space, ladies and gentlemen. And there's a story in there. There's a story in amongst my pile of stories today that I think you have to let go of all your belief systems and listen to what the story's about. And then once you've listened to what the story's about, it should, if you're a logical thinker, leave you with a really, really, really big question as to just whether or not we may be a result of something similar in the ancient past. But before we get there, I'm going to shove on some music. Please hit like, hit share. If you're not a member of the channel, please consider it now. It would be much appreciated, but not necessary if you don't want to. It just means you get to hang out with us on Sundays like our newest member. Big shout out to Jeff Roberts. Yes, indeed. There's Jeff there. There we go. We've got the funny cat eyes going on. So thank you, Jeff. And we'll be back in a moment, folks, to get into some space news. So it wasn't that long ago that we had our first interstellar visitor. Remember Oumuamua? Remember the cigar-shaped object that Harvard professor Avi Loeb to this day maintains was an alien probe from another solar system out there somewhere? Well, today we're going to be talking about other interstellar objects, and this time it's not Oumuamua. It was the second interstellar object, the second ever to be captured flying through our solar system. What am I talking about? We're talking about Comet Borisov, okay? And we're going to start here today because this will set us up nicely for where we're going to go with our little exploration of what's going on in space. And there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in space. And remember, I do have a bit of a kind of vested interest in this, because I'm very much looking for things that point towards us about to be entering what I call sci-fi space age. Yes, we are about to hit the future rapidly, folks, but check this out. This is kind of cool. Now it says here, and bear in mind, folks, this is an artist's impression of what Borisov looked like. Now, Borisov was spotted by, off the top of my head, an amateur astronomer down in Crimea, and his name was, guess what? Borisov. So we're going to take a look at what it's saying here, but that builds up nicely towards what NASA are planning to do. And when you hear what NASA are planning to do and what the payoff may be, this is where we have to really start opening our minds to the fact that we're rapidly going to be moving into something that looks not too far from Star Trek. Okay, maybe not that far. If you've watched The Expanse, okay, if you've watched that TV show that's been on for 5 seasons now, if you like sci-fi and you haven't watched The Expanse, I think you should. Because I think we're getting a little glimpse around the corner of what it's going to look like when we've got thriving populations up there on Mars, when we've got a very industrial sector out in the asteroid belt. Yep. Take a look at that, because that's where we're going. And today's stories, I think they definitely add weight to that argument. So it says here that interstellar comet Borisov was shiny and new when it passed through our solar system. Yes, indeed. Not like one of these old timers that's been used and abused and flying about up there forever, you know? Shiny and new comet. So it says for a long time, astronomers thought our second alien interstellar visitor, the comet 21 Borisov, was rather boring. It looked pretty much like every small comet from our own solar system. However, it's a big however, now it appears that it was special. It was pristine, almost completely unchanged since it formed, meaning ours was the first solar system it visited closely. So this is one of the first places this comet has been, and this might be one of the first times that we've probably seen something in such pristine condition. So it says Borisov was discovered by an amateur astronomer named Gennady Borisov late in 2019. And it didn't take long before it was found to be very interesting. Literally alien. See, folks, anyone who says there aren't aliens kicking about in our solar system, we can say they're technically wrong. A comet from another star that had spent countless years traveling through interstellar space before passing the sun. So it zipped past the sun in December 2019, getting about 300 million kilometers from it. or just inside the orbit of Mars, before heading back out again on a hyperbolic orbit. Now, that's the kind of orbit that they kind of talk about for Nibiru coming in. Just saying, a path that is not bound to the sun, unlike planets which have elliptical orbits, or comets which can be nearly parabolic. So astronomers use telescopes around the planet and above it to observe it, hoping to see something bizarre, something strange about it. It's from another star, and what they found was, it's a comet. I mean, it looked just like any other comet from our own solar system. If it hadn't been screaming through on an interstellar trajectory, it wouldn't have been special at all. That was a little disappointing. And I was hoping for kryptonite or vibranium, or at least a little proto-molecule. Now, if you've watched Expanse, that's definitely a nod of the head to Expanse, because there's something there called the proto-molecule. And that's as much of the stories I really need to get into. Because it's these things that are flying through space. You know, we tend to think that we know everything. I would hazard a guess that we know little or next to nothing in the grand scheme of things, okay? And these comets, these asteroids, these rocks are flying about up there. It talks about there the guy hoping for kryptonite or vibranium or the proto-molecule, right? But it's the minerals and it's the metals and it's the things that do make up these rocks that's of particular interest. Because even from a wee guy, I've always appreciated that we're never going to get to see the true sci-fi world, that true Star Trek, Star Wars type future, unless there's money in it, right? It's the way the world is. It's a broken system. It's crap. But until they can monetize it and make profit of it, there's little to no hope of anything being done with it, whether it's space, whether it's X, Y, or Z. It's all about the money, right? All about the Benjamins. Well, a big shout out to our good friend Ron, who, in amongst having to try and deal with severe flooding going on, he managed to send me this story here. And I think this is really important, folks. I really, really do. I've talked about this with Nano Girl rakes of times. I've talked about it on streams. I've talked about it on shows. But once we get into the business of identifying big payloads on asteroids, and once mining becomes a thing up there, then we're going to see stuff really, really, pardon the pun, taking off. And remember, there's that company out there, Planetary Resources, I think they're called. We'll take a look at them in a moment. But one of their board of directors is James Cameron. And their whole gig is mining space rocks. Yep. This is where we're going to be moving, and we're going to be seeing a lot of activity in this very field very, very soon, I think. Especially when you factor in how cheap it is now for rockets to be going up and down. You know, whether it's SpaceX or any of the other now space agencies around the world that are really up in the game. And when there's payloads like 700,000 quadrillion on offer, you bet they're going to be absolutely racing to get up there. And this is kind of cool, because this is a metallic asteroid called 16 Psyche, or Psyche. Well, we call it Psyche because it sounds crazier if we call it that. So, it says here, forget about the stimulus checks. Oh boy, NASA is planning a mission to a giant metallic asteroid called 16 Psyche. 16 Psychos would have been cool. You could have had that versus 12 Monkeys, and it would have made for a right Marvel Universe comic, right? I know. Okay. That could make everyone on Earth a billionaire. Oh boy. The mission is scheduled for August 2022. Now, according to NASA, the giant asteroid has gold in large quantities and platinum, iron, and nickel that are estimated to be worth 700 quintillion. Now, I don't know about you out there, folks, but I can't even picture that amount of money. I struggle to picture what $1 million would look like. I truly do. Let alone this kind of cash. And now you can see why. Like I'm saying, when there's cash like this, potentially sitting up there, Nobody guarding it. You better believe they're going to do everything they can to get to it. You know? So it says here that, but hey, let's expand our minds though. I remember a story about how an ancient alien race out there are absolutely obsessed with gold. In fact, it said that they may have engineered a race to go and mine it for them, right? What are these people, these entities going to say when we start like plucking big sources of gold out of space? Do we even know who owns the real estate around here, let alone further out there? I'm just saying the Anunnaki mining police may turn up. It's a thing. It could be. If we believe it, we can make it a thing, right? The asteroid was named Psyche, or Psyche. We'll call it Psycho, right? Norman Bates. That's it. Psycho, who married Cupid. No, he married his mum. I'm sure Norman wanted to marry his mum, but hang on now. Not breaking news, but it's not interesting. Was put to death by Venus. At Cupid's request, however, Jupiter made Psyche immortal. Some scientists estimate its minerals could be worth 700 quintillion or 700,000 quadrillion. The nearby asteroid contains enough gold to make everyone on Earth a billionaire. And if the asteroid's proposed value was divided between every human on Earth, which of course we know they would do, right? Because, I mean, historically, everyone shared big bounties like that, right? Each person would receive $93 billion. And it would become $93 billion for a loaf of bread, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm envisaging. So it says, we've been following the story since last year. And as we reported back then, NASA has asked Elon Musk's space company, SpaceX, to assist with a new mission. On February 28, 2020, NASA awarded SpaceX a $117 million contract to launch the Psyche spacecraft and the two smallest secondary missions on a Falcon Heavy rocket in July 2022. So according to the latest information on the NASA website, Bruce Willis is set to blast into space and mine the rock. I'm only joking. Be cool though, wouldn't it? Surely we should send Dwayne Johnson. Surely the Rock has to be the guy that we send to the space rock, right? That'd be cool. You could market it really easy. We get Vince McMahon in. The Rock versus a rock. Something like that. So with a Mars gravity assist in 2023 and arriving in 2026, we're going to see this in our lifetime, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, I'd like to think so. Touch wood. The mission to 16 Psyche. What happened to the other 15 Psychos? Did this one finish them all off? Was originally targeted, or did the Anunnaki get them? I'm just saying. Was originally targeted to launch in October 2023 with an Earth gravity assist maneuver in 2024. That's where they do a mad slingshot. They fire themselves towards that rock. So with we had that. A Mars flyby in 2025 and arriving at the asteroid in 2030. So in a statement, the space agency said, we're going to make loads of money. The asteroid is considered unique, as it appears to be largely made of the exposed nickel-iron core of an early planet. It begs the question, was it once a planet and something happened to it? One of the building blocks of our solar system. 16 Psyche is one of the most massive asteroids in the asteroid belt. It's nestled between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter and is made of a solid metal. The asteroid contains about 1% of the mass of the entire asteroid belt. That's gargantuan, isn't it? Wow. So according to NASA, one of the most intriguing targets in the main asteroid belt, Psyche, is a giant metal asteroid. Did somebody make it? Is it like a Death Star? Gets the old imagination going to space, doesn't it? Wait till you see the next story I've got. Oh boy, this is where it'll get the minds working. But we're not there yet. Don't go anywhere. 16 Psyche is giant metal asteroid, about 3 times further away from the sun than is the Earth. Its average diameter is about 140 miles, which is 226 kilometers if you're that way inclined. About 1/16th the diameter of the Earth's moon, or about the distance between Los Angeles and San Diego. We're going to be sending something up there to cling on to that. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Unlike most asteroids that are rocky or icy bodies, scientists think the M-type, they say metallic, I say money, asteroid Psyche is comprised mostly of money, metallic iron and nickel similar to the Earth's core. Scientists wonder whether Psyche could be an exposed core of an early planet, oh boy, maybe as large as Mars, that lost its rocky outer layers due to a number of violent collisions billions of years ago. That, ladies and gentlemen, could well have been the innermost part of another planet. Now, albeit an artist's impression, okay? And that's what lies at the centre of our planet then, potentially. Although ours is still obviously encased in its very habitable outer crusts, thankfully. But what caused that? If, say, it was some kind of cataclysm, was it that damn Nibiru coming through? Was it those Anunnaki trying to get to the gold and the nickel and the core? I tell you, there was an alien world up there, an alien sky going on, folks. It's weird, it's wonderful, that's why we love it. Deep within the terrestrial planets, including Earth, scientists infer the presence of metallic cores, but these lie unreachably below the planet's rocky mantles and crusts. Are we honestly that insane that if we could get to our own core, we would start to mine it for gold? Probably. Yeah, probably. The asteroid Psyche offers a unique window into these building blocks of planet formation and the opportunity to investigate a previously unexplored type of world. NASA said the Psyche mission will test a sophisticated new laser communication technology that encodes data in photons rather than radio waves to communicate between a probe deep in space and Earth. So cool. Using light instead of radio waves allows the spacecraft to communicate more data in a given amount of time. And the DSOC team is based at JPL, Jack Parsons Lab. Look into that guy, folks. I'm sure most of you know the story. Astronomers on Earth have studied 16 Psyches, is that all? Invisible and infrared wavelengths, as well as radar, which suggests that Psyche is shaped somewhat like a potato. Observations indicate that its dimensions are a whole heap of numbers, 173 miles by 144 by 117. I can imagine there's some geometric craziness going on in people's minds right now. Try to figure out what that means. It says Psyche orbits the sun between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Okay, so we get it. Okay, there's a little video here. What's this saying? Hang on.
Planning to send an unmanned spacecraft to the chunk of metal in our solar system known as 16 Psyche.
16 Psyche sounds way better, I'm just saying. So it's going to be, look at this, 2022 Solar Electric Cruise. Solar Electric Cruise, 3.5 years. It'll stay an observation period of 21 months in orbit, mapping and studying Psyche's properties. And then we've got the launch from this is all the kind of mission dates. 2022, not long to wait, folks, but here's some of the key points. Psyche orbits between the sun, orbits the sun between Mars and Jupiter. The asteroid is named after a mythological nymph. We all love the odd nymph, right? Everyone loves a nymph. Who was the wife of Cupid, Lucky Cupid. It was discovered in 1852 by Italian astronomer Annibale de Gaspari. 1852. it was discovered. That's pretty crazy, pretty cool. If the asteroid's proposed value was divided, we had that, we'd all get 93 billion. We're not going to get it. Its average diameter is, we've got somebody, one of 100 monkeys in the chat room. I tell you that's like, you're like one of the 12 monkeys that I was going to put up to fight the 16 psychos. I hope you don't mind. Hope you don't mind that I delegated you to represent Earth as part of the 12 monkeys. I'm just saying I've lost the plot. Blah, de blah. Right, we've had most of these actual key points were covered in the actual thing, okay? But listen. The next story I've got takes it one step further. And this is the kind of thing where, well, if this is a thing, then we have to expand our minds and be open to the possibility that something else may be a direct result of a similar thing. What on earth's name am I talking about? Well, what if I was to tell you that they've done a study and they've come up with this idea, right, that we should maybe start looking for exoplanets or maybe dead planets like Mars, and when we find them, we should not only study them, right? Not only study them, but what about if we kickstarted things? You know, they think, well, maybe we should just go terraforming and seeding other planets with life. And listen, hey, with the science we've got available today, it's a kind of no-brainer that that's going to be in our future, right? Regardless of what we think about it, if they can do it, they'll try it. Manhattan Project. There was a chance they could have set the atmosphere on fire. They looked at each other for a split second, smiled and pressed the button. So you better believe if they can do it, they're going to do it, right? But then you have to sit back and go, well, hang on though. If we're about to go looking around in space and we find a planet that we think has got potential to fulfill whatever scientific needs we have on our remit, then who the hell are we to say that at some time in the ancient past, way, way long ago, in a time bygone, yes, another advanced alien civilization was out there looking around for planets that, you know, were in the Goldilocks zone, were good for producing life. And who's to say that that advanced civilization didn't have science similar to ours and scientists that are just as off their guard? You know, if we're looking at doing that, there's absolutely nothing that rules out the fact that we ourselves may be the product of some terraforming and some geoengineering and some biological manipulations and genetical engineering. I'm just saying it's worth thinking about, because right now, here on Earth, that's exactly the kind of science that they're looking at today. So, like I say, this is what they're coming up with. Yes, indeed. This comes from space.com. We should study dead alien worlds, and maybe carefully, because we do our science carefully, we'll seed them with life. You know, I read a sci-fi book. I lie. I listened to a sci-fi book one time where we tried to go and do this. We sent out like a kind of mission to seed another planet. We had identified one that had primates on it that would have been perfect for an evolutionary jump. Just a little bit of snippy DNA here, a little bit of snippy DNA there. You know, kickstart some oceans, but a bit more in the atmosphere, get it all going good. But something went wrong with that mission, because when the CRISPR kits, the biological nanobot CRISPR kits came down, instead of making their way into the primate population, well, they made it into spiders. And it gave spiders a really creepy evolutionary jump to the point where they were really clever, to the point where when we turned up there, not so good. Not so good, ladies and gentlemen, not so good. So you gotta be real careful whenever you go seeding planets. It's a no-brainer, right? So it says the search for life in the universe tends to focus on habitable environments. Unless you listen to KBS, because we expand our mind. We consider the possibility that there's not just carbon-based life forms that need a planet in the Goldilocks like we do. Life, ladies and gentlemen. Life as we know it. Yes, life can take various shapes and forms. I truly believe that. From crystalline type intelligence to silica type stuff, other things in between. Who knows? I'm making it up as we go along because I'm having fun here today. I love the sci-fi stuff, right? I love it. But at the same time, you see why I say we have to really consider. We have to consider what's gone on with other alien races out there. If they themselves have had technology similar to ours. And you know, we talk about the DNA and everything else when we've been looking at the where do we come from conundrum. And it would appear that some of our DNA, it's not junk, far from junk. It's just that it might be from somewhere else. Oh boy, oh boy. But anyway, back to this. It says, the biological study of lifelessness seems counterintuitive because biology is the study of life, said astrobiologist Charles Cockle at the University of Edinburgh in the UK. Us Scottish scientists are right on the tip of the spear. The tip, ladies and gentlemen. Just at the tip. Not just the tip, but just at the tip. But in a paper set to be published in April, and in the journey Astrobiology, how do we know it's not going to be published on the morning of the 1st of April? Like tomorrow morning, which would make it absolutely hocus pocus and something that should be in the Babylon Bee. You see what I'm saying? So it says, Cockle makes the case that focusing entirely on living worlds leaves out an enormous and potentially informative percentage of the cosmos. The mind-bogglingly large spaces, Kevin. Oh, Dave. Between planets as well as places, not species or spaces. Like the burning sun and the frigid moon. Who said the moon was frigid? I heard it was a bit of a goer. Oh, boom, boom. All presumably devoid of life. Yes, indeed. That's what she said. So it says uninhabitable. Oh, what? Hang on, I can't read that. There we go. Even Earth, which we consider to be teeming with life, is largely uninhabitable, with a thin biosphere situated on the surface, but a largely dead interior. Isn't that true of a lot of humans, ladies and gentlemen? Looks really alive on the surface, but just underneath the skin, it's like soulless. I'm just saying. Surveying lifeless worlds could help scientists learn exactly what percentage of the universe is uninhabitable, what proportion is potentially habitable, but just lacking in life, and whether there are some worlds that are partially empty and partially covered in life. Look, I think, for me, the interesting thing to take away from this story is, like I said, if we ourselves are looking at doing this type of thing, then you have to keep an open mind as to how we got here. Not making any bold claims, Not even telling you what to think, merely encouraging you to think for yourself. I'll be back in a moment to wrap this up. Chill out with you great people in the chat. Head on over, catch Jimmy Jeans, get Don Whiskin, and get ready for another KBS Live. There we go. Now, somebody was asking what that book was called. Actually, there's one called The Children of Ruin. It's a series of books. It's by somebody called Adrian Tchaikovsky. I'll bring it up here. You can get to see it. I listened to two of them over on Audible. Couldn't remember the name of it there. Children. There we go. It says, this is the sequel right enough. It says the astonishing sequel to Children of Time, the award-winning novel of humanity's battle for survival on a terraformed planet. Long ago, Earth's terraforming program sent ships out to build new homes for humanity among the stars and made an unexpected discovery, a planet with life. But the scientists were unaware that the alien ecosystem was more developed than the primitive life forms originally discovered. Now, thousands of years later, the Portids and their humans have sent an exploration vessel following fragmentary radio signals to discover a system in crisis, warring factions trying to recover from an apocalyptic catastrophe arriving from what the early terraformers awoke all those years before. There's highly intelligent ants and spiders. So if you're in any way an arachnophobe, I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't. But I tell you what, it really does make you think, folks. It does make you think. And being a big sci-fi fan, I do wonder, if there are, races of beings out there, maybe even AI-controlled ships that just fly around, seeding things here, there, and everywhere. Maybe they drop off rocks that look like comets and asteroids. We call it panspermia. I don't know. And at the end of the day, it's all just fun to think about. It's expanding your mind stuff, get your imagination going. I like the whole space thing, as you can probably tell. And that's why I love to see stories like we're seeing now. about us thinking about going out there and terraforming planets. I love seeing all those rockets that are going up all the time as well. Honestly, after sitting as a young boy watching the missions with the space shuttle and things like that, I thought this would have been happening when I was in high school. Not when I was like halfway through my 40s. But we're here now, and we're going to make the most of it. I know I am, and I'm going to enjoy it. But listen, I'm going to come back into the chat for just a moment. And then I need to go and get ready and reset everything for the arrival of Jimmy Jeans and Don Wiskin. Yes, indeed. Cine Monk says, thanks, Kev. I hate spiders, but love the rush they give me. We'll definitely give it a listen. You'll enjoy it, Cine Monk, if you're into sci-fi. And the science that Adrian Tchaikovsky kind of gets into, it's like science that you'll have heard about in the real world. It's one of these ones where it's based on factual stuff and that fictional kind of freedom to tell a story with things that are definitely real and in our near future. There he is. There's Jimmy Jeans kicking back. He's just had his coffee. He's been out sitting in the sun. He is ready to rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. He truly is. Bet, thank you. I don't like to call this little pre-show thing a show. It's just really friends gathering. And whether you can make it some days or not, you know me, folks. I'm not one of these people that's going to like, my nose is going to be out of joint if your name's always here and then one day you're not. I appreciate that. I like to give you somewhere to get away from all of the crazier stuff out there. All of the more emotionally triggery stuff. And for me personally, it helps me warm up and get ready to do the show. That way, from minute one when we hit TFR Live, Dave Baker is in the building and we're ready to go. And today, after hour number one, when we're going to be the three amigos, it's going to be me, Don, and Jimmy Jeans. And then Jimmy Jeans, like I say, he's going to blow off the cobwebs. I think that's how it goes. Maybe it's more like that. Blowing off those cobwebs of the Colburn Bible, no less. I'm pretty sure the Colburn talks about extraplanetary bodies that go here, there, everywhere. Elliptical orbits, parabolic orbits, hyperbolic hemorrhoids. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. But I want to thank you for being here. Remember, if you love me, please click like, please click share. Even if you don't love me, even if you just slightly like me, it really, really helps the channel. And we are finally over 5,600 subscribers. We're heading towards 6,000, folks. That is awesome. I can't do it without your help. And if you want to become a member of the channel, and I would really, really like that, and there's about 55 other people would love that as well, what do you get? You get all of the emojis that I'm about to fire off into the chat room. And you also get a Sunday members only stream. And I'm even going to be really annoying soon. I'm going to put on members only chat in some of our other streams just to try and entice you into the member zone. At least I do it. At least I announce it. I'm not like trying to trick anyone. You see, I'm the worst marketer in the world. Folks, I'm going to love you. I'm going to leave you, but I'm going to give you one last message before I do that. You all know what's coming now, right? Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo.